Hello and welcome to the final day of the IFSC Boulder World Cup in Brixen, Italy. Yesterday we watched the women compete and medals awarded, and now it's the turn of the men. My name is Matt Groom and I'm joined in the commentary box by Dan and Marky. Dan, what a day, 24 degrees, the sun is out once again. Are you excited for the semi-final?
Very, very excited. Now, 24 degrees, that's a bit of a key fact here as we've just went around the semi-final boulders and they do look pretty tough. So I am wondering if we're going to see this temperature come into play. We did watch the women climb the finals last night and they had very good conditions. So there was a lot of tops going on there. Maybe it'll be the same today, maybe not.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you come around with the route setters, when they're saying that every boulder is a hard one, you start to realise the level of this semi-final. They are savage. There they are on our wall. So what we're going to do is check out the qualification of the men from yesterday.
Setters stripped and reset the wall, and it was time for the men to qualify long into the evening. Kokoro Fuji had a slow start to the comp, but quickly warmed up, flashing 4 out of the 5. Zhong Wonchon campused his way to glory and qualified in 15th, part of a high-scoring quali group.
Yeah, qualification went really well for me again today. I'm really happy I made my third consecutive semifinals. Which makes me pretty proud. Usually qualification is kind of like the crux for me. I especially enjoyed boulder number 4, some squadra pinches. Was a nice boulder, and I think that one really got me into semis basically. So really happy to be able to climb on Sunday again.
Hamish MacArthur looked good, getting through in 2nd place. He was powerful and read the climbs well, one to keep an eye on. Marcus Nimrod cut things fine, getting 4 tops but still down the order in his group. Mikel Mawam climbed brilliantly on the insanely hard slab of MB1. He continued his form throughout the qualifying session, doing enough to make it through.
It's a very good place for the World Cup here. It's my first time in Italy, and for sure, you look at this wall, it's crazy, it's too long, it's too big. You have nice hall, nice structure, nice place for the public, and yeah, for sure it's a good qualification, and I'm very happy to climb in today for the semi-final.
Tomoa Narasaki has bounced back and qualified inside of the top 10. Max Milne is coming closer and closer to finals at every competition, and he's made the semi-finals cut once more here in Brixen. Yannick Flowey topped out his group and the table, his 5 tops needing just 8 attempts. And his teammate Alex Magos also got in, although a little further down the order.
So that qualifying session took place on Friday. So the men have had a day of rest, time to regrow some skin. How much of a difference will that make compared to the women who had to go straight into semi-finals and finals?
It will definitely be a part of a factor, but it's actually something that athletes really train for, to be able to push themselves to 3 days on even sometimes. And looking at the boulders in front of us, there's more of a technical crux for a few of them, especially boulder number 1. It seems like it's all footwork for the first half, so I don't think they'll be thinking too much about skin until they're getting to the top part of that boulder.
Absolutely. Well, we're looking at our semi-final list now. Some big names in there. Keep an eye on Hamish MacArthur, qualifying in 2nd place. He's done well and is looking in good form. Jakob Schubert, he's back in action, enjoying himself out in the sun. Max Milne, another one to keep an eye on. And down the bottom of the list, Philip Martin, he climbed well. Alex Magos has made it into a semi-finals. Will he make his first boulder finals? Could this be the event? Let's find out. But we're kicking things off with Jan-Luca Posch on boulder number 1. Now, this is a slabby start, and those volumes have very little friction on them.
Well, yes, they all are dual text, and the top half of every volume has no texture. There is some texture around the edges, and then there's some black foot jibs added to each volume. You can see that's what Yannick Floyd is standing on right now. It looks like he's made through the first section pretty quickly. Surprising, because he has to crouch down and he's so tall. So that was a very good effort there.
Yeah, I asked as a route setters whether height would be a factor in this boulder, because it is quite a long press up to that big yellow volume. They didn't seem to think it would be a problem, sort of shrugged it off. But we'll keep an eye on that. But the start is awkward. It's one of those starts designed to unsettle the athletes.
Very much unsettled, and again, I think height does come into play there. You can see the wall angles out, which means you can't stand up on those foot jibs. You have to actually crouch quite low. So you'll see them do like a little army walk almost across the footholds.
Yeah, not an easy start for the men, and it continues with the rest of the boulders. So if you're new to comp climbing, welcome to the sport. The aim of the game is to get to the top of the boulder as quick as in as few tries as possible. Climbing the boulder first go is the best possible score you can get. There's a zone halfway, and you can see that indicated in the middle of the wall. It's written zone in a circle. If you get that, it's a scoring opportunity. And of course, you want to finish the climb off. We'll be updating you with the scores, but a semi-final is long. There's 20 athletes trying to get 6 places. And trust me, things change around a lot. So keep an eye on the leaderboard. We'll keep you updated and really sit back and enjoy a nice afternoon of climbing. And Dan, this athlete, Yannick Floyd, he qualified in last position, so starting first.
Starting first, which some athletes see as an advantage, because the holes will definitely get some chalk and grease on them throughout the round. So sometimes I've spoken with a few coaches about this. Sometimes is it tactical to try qualify in a lower place, but generally the consensus is at the level the sport is working at now, it's so risky to qualify in a lower position or to try manipulate your position. So essentially it's just try your hardest every single time.
Yeah, exactly, and sometimes it's a psychological thing. I know athletes who like being out last or towards the end of the order just because it prepares them for it. But you're right, some enjoy the lack of pressure down low. But you guys watching at home, you should watch this, because so often we see athletes doing very well in the first couple of boulders. So keep an eye, Alex Magos is coming out in 3 athletes' time. Yongwon Chon, he's up there. So there's lots to see. Don't go away, because action is continuous during these semi-finals. But we do start off slow because we have just 1 athlete on stage. But by the midway point, we're going to have 4 climbing.
Yep, and with the semi-final format, it is a continuous cycle of 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off.
Well, Yannick Floyd unlocks the tricky sequence, and now he tops out well. Good work from him, finishing things off in style. 3 attempts, he's on the scoring board, and that will settle him down for the rest of the comp. And look, Dan, that was one of the hardest boulders, and he did it with 1.5 minutes to spare. So the men on form here today.
Very, very much so. And again, that is the last place qualifier, so we're only expecting more from the stronger athletes. We'll see what the other boulders have to show us, but sometimes it comes down to doing it in as few attempts as possible.
Well, this is this big move, and you've got to generate so much swing off that zone hold with no feet to do it from. Very powerful shouldery sequence. And then the top, once you've got established on those slopers, the last move, seemingly not too difficult. So that's our first boulder. We've got 4 to come, and we're just pausing for that clock on the bottom right of your screen to tick down. When that reaches 0, we'll get our next athlete out.
The clock does continue during semi-finals. It's required as each athlete needs that 4 minutes rest as their cycle round. Whereas in finals, you can stop the clock and move straight to the next athlete because it is a different cycling system.
So about 30 seconds to wait. That's our crowd, and what a crowd it's been. They've been packed into this stadium. We thought the semi-finals was busy yesterday, and then huge amounts of people turn up for the women's finals. And do go back and watch that if you've missed it. It's a spectacular event. Natalia Grossman taking her 4th gold of the season, and some real unknown names in there. So if you are interested in that, make sure you check out all the action. And today we have the semi-finals and then the men's finals at 7 p.m. Central European time. So hopefully you'll join us for that. So the rotation starts. This is the transition period. Usually there'll be athletes leaving in this 15 seconds and some coming on, but obviously Yannick Floyd climbed it quickly. Meichi Narasaki is out next from Team Japan. And Dan, we talk about Team Japan a lot. Why are they so special?
That is the biggest mystery. I have spoken a lot with their coach, and he says it's nothing special. There's nothing in the water over there. They have just been putting in a lot of time, and I think this is being seen in a few teams now. They've put the work in 5 years ago, coming up on 10 years ago, and now we're finally seeing the results of that work.
Yeah, they are a dominant force. You can see all the rubber on that yellow volume. Remember, no friction on it, but That was there before the comp started, and sometimes route setters will put things like that on the holes just to give the athletes an idea of what's required. Be very deliberately done that.
Yeah, the setters have to test the boulders. They have to make sure it's possible. Part of the difficult job they have to do. And obviously you need to create something that the world's strongest climber is going to be tested on, but you have to do it yourself to make sure that it's not impossible. So you will see chalk marks and rubber marks where the setters have been throwing their own attempts and shoes on the wall.
Yeah, it's one of the most exhausting jobs here at the IFSC, and the route setters, in my opinion, have done well so far. It was a good women's semi-finals yesterday, high-scoring round, but exciting, and the women's final as well. That speaks for itself. It was a great event, and we enjoyed watching that.
Very much a battle between the positions. Very exciting.
Exactly, and if we're looking at our list of men here today, Meiichi Narasaki, well, he's certainly coming through. He's done a lot of comps this year. Perhaps one we wouldn't expect as a guaranteed into the finals, but you never know with this Japanese team who can pull it out of the bag.
Yeah, we have seen a surprising shift in the Japanese athletes making finals lately. A lot of unknown names, a lot of first-time finalists. Salt Lake City, we had Rei Kawamati making his way into the finals, and no one knew where that came from. And again, last night with the female finals, what, three
Japanese out of the top
Japanese
six
finalists.
Yeah, so it just shows the depth of this team. And of course, all of these athletes have an eye on the Olympics, and I get the feeling Team Japan is trying out different combinations of athletes, trying to work out what their preferred Olympic setup is. Of course, they will still have to qualify, but when you've got that much depth in the squad, you need to somehow start separating people.
Yeah, very much so, and you can see they're actually entering a large amount of athletes into World Cups now, which is part of building that experience for the athletes, and I guess testing who's going to be their Olympic candidates.
Exactly. Well, that's coming up over the next couple of years. Get ahead of ourselves, perhaps. Right now, we're in Brixen, Northern Italy. Hello, if you're just joining us. This is the men's semi-final. 20 athletes will be competing for 6 places. So it's a brutal cut here this morning, and the sun absolutely blazing. But as we found out yesterday from the women, the conditions on the wall itself, pretty good.
Pretty good. They really looked out with the shade and the angle of the sun. I guess it's partly
Meiichi, hang on, just going to interrupt you because Meiichi's nearing the top. He does top out. Good work from him. Again, about just under 2 minutes on the clock, figuring it out and then unlocking it. Yeah, so the conditions, sorry, you were saying.
Yes. I guess by design, this is a competition-specific facility, and so I imagine as they were building this wall, they were thinking about the conditions that will be required to do some of the world's hardest climbs. And we get another look at that triple paddle, swinging, throwing the left hand into that final hold, which is really the only one that is good enough to hold on to. Really
the body
impressive.
tension that he used then to stop that swing. You saw the momentum start to build. He just seemed to tighten up his core and stop it.
Tighten up the core and tense that left arm. And it is really surprising. The amount of force that goes through your arm on a big swing like that, a lot more than you'll ever have to do with a pull-up or some other simple exercise.
Well, it's too early to make conclusions, but this was a boulder the route set is considered to be very hard, and we've seen 2 tops out of 2 so far. So interesting start to our competition. But of course, we saw yesterday during the women's semi-final a similar thing. First boulder was very climbable, and the athletes who missed out on that first one, and there were a few of them, they missed out on the finals. So it's a different kind of game when you know a boulder is climbable. You have to send it.
Oh yeah, very, very different. And this is something we've seen a lot of this season, more boulders where you need nearly maximum tops to be qualifying or getting through to the next round, which is a very different head game for athletes. It's not about trying as hard as you possibly can. It's more about not making mistakes. And this is something you have to train for differently, you have to practice for differently. And it is quite intense, and the route setters say themselves it is very intense mental space whenever you're not allowed to make mistakes.
So here's our transition period. The brushes come onto the mat to clean up the holds, and the reason they do that is to clean them. Chalk and dirt and dust from the wall makes it harder for the athletes to grip, and we want the same conditions ideally for each athlete coming onto the wall. But of course, by the time you get to the end, there's 20 athletes have touched those holds, so things get less grippy. And Alex Megos enters the stage. True, safe to say, a legend within the climbing world.
Legend within the climbing world. and someone who's always sort of had a balancing act between his indoor and outdoor climbing. I think Alex is much more driven by the outdoor achievements and opportunities, but he's more than capable to be pushing himself in this indoor competition circuit.
Yeah, I think people will be surprised that he hasn't made a finals yet, because you just presume he has. I mean, he's such a regular on the lead finals circuit.
And other non-IFSC competitions, he's often winning them.
Yeah, Quiff, I remember when he won that a couple of years ago with a finger injury, so he's definitely got the talent to do it. It just hasn't quite come together for him yet, but he's straight away into this zone hold.
Here we are for the coordination move. I have no doubts of his ability on the slab, but let's see.
Doing it like that, that's quite a static approach. He was looking to stop on that first hold, I think, just because, I mean, there didn't seem to be a lot of rightwards momentum.
Not very much rightwards momentum, almost as if he wanted to test how grippy, how much friction there was on that hold. He's sort of doing some planning with that attempt rather than actually going forward.
So Yannick Floyd looks at boulder number 2, and that's our first view of it as well. And it's got an interesting start. It's not a crack, but there's a narrowing on that first hole between the wall and the blue volume. And there's a few ways you could do it. You can jam your heel, your toe into that space in order to stand up to reach the next volume, but that's going to be a fascinating one to watch.
Yeah, I think very powerful upper crux as well.
So Alex is back in action, pops into the zone. Oof. Had a bit of a wobble there. Watch that left foot, because it's the only bit of friction he's standing on. And then this is the pop. And now he looks like he's setting himself up more for that double clutch.
There we are, getting a little bit further every time. I guess he'll be figuring it out as he goes, as a lot of athletes do. But is that going to cost him his qualification into the finals? Because there's a good chance we'll be, oh wow, look at that. Straight up through dynamically, not part of the plan beta, but not a bother for Yannick Floyd.
Yeah, he's not using that crack to jam anything in, just jumps straight through it. And it looks good, it's positive. The black sections on that boulder number 2, they have no friction on them. Well, look, you've coached a lot with the German team. Give me some insights into Alex Megos. I want some insider knowledge here.
Insider knowledge into Megos.
You can tell me off air,
That's going to cost you a lot of money, man.
That's fair enough, that's fair enough.
No, always an interesting deal with Megos, because there's so much different goals he has between indoor and outdoor, but I can tell you he loves to get on a training board. He loves those really powerful moves. You'll see on his own social media channels, he loves to just pull hard on wooden boards. So I can say that's definitely one of the secrets.
Well, this is a man who's climbed some of the hardest outdoor boulders in the world, you know, in the 8C category, and yet struggling to make finals. And it just shows the difference, doesn't it, between competition style climbing and outdoor climbing. Same sport, but different approach.
Very, very different approach. And it seems like competition style climbing is moving further and further in this direction of full body coordination movements. And a lot of athletes are talking about whether or not they still see it as competition, as its own thing. Not quite getting through there on the jump, but they're wondering now at the point it's splitting between have to prioritize indoor climbing or outdoor climbing. So speaking to a lot of the bigger outdoor climbing names like Jakob Schubert, and obviously Adam Ondra is not competing in this World Cup circuit this year, and that's because at least Ondra has decided he'd rather prioritize the outdoor side for a time. Definitely where a lot of climbers get their passion and drive.
Yeah, and it's a funny year between Olympic qualifications, but Yannick Floyd once again springs up into those big volumes. He's got the zone, and the zone is just the thumb grip indicated by the tag, not the entire volume. Alex once again into this position, not making a lot of headway at the moment. Similar moves every time. Let's see if he can make progress on this attempt with 23 seconds to go on the clock. Comes out, gets the right hand, but it's a similar style.
Not quite jumping high enough, but looks like he wants to have another go quickly before heading off.
He scuttles across the slab, staying low, pops up. Look at the speed now from Megos. He's got 7 seconds. It's going to have to be an amazing leap, but it's not enough. So Alex not getting boulder 1 done. He'll leave. And now we've got this 11-second or 15-second little transition period. And we'll be seeing 3 athletes on, or are we still down to 2? We'll find out in a sec. 5 minutes on the clock. And that is Michi Narasaki on Boulder 2. Sent that first one well. He's currently sitting in second position, but a long way to go, so that leaderboard is going to flip around and change. And if you want to keep an eye on it, do download the IFSC app. It's free. And you can continuously keep an eye on how they're doing. Nimrod Marcus, I should say, out on the wall.
Let's see. You'll see a lot of athletes on their first attempt on this climb. Quite exploratory, trying to figure out where to get the balance, how to get over those feet. But by fourth, fifth attempt, you saw Alex Megos just run across very quickly.
Team Israel, lovely to see them on the circuit. Always a good presence. Ayala Karem was competing yesterday for the women. Didn't make it through the finals, but she's getting closer and closer. And it's a good team. And wow, this is a technique. Going backwards and then spinning and reversing.
Thought to switch up the foot positions and rather start only on the left foot jib, skipping out the right. Now, can he match feet? Athletes were stepping through there so that they had a right foot on and a left foot open to reach towards the end.
Well, Meichi's made progress. Oh, and then a foot pop to send him back down. That appears to be the crux section, transitioning across left on the wall. He grabs a brush, wanting to do it himself, and he'll clean up that volume. I'm sure everything's perfect for him. Yeah, the foot swap we just watched on this boulder, it's a move that I do regularly in the gym, but I do it on bigger holds. Because the problem is there's a moment where you're basically jumping, one foot up, and then the other one comes in and stands in that hold. You've got to be super precise, and there's not a lot to aim for.
Not a lot to aim for. Obviously very high risk, because if on a slab and you've no handholds, there is a point where you have no connection to the wall essentially. So there are different ways. There can be a bit of a wiggle version, but with the size of these footholds, I don't think the wiggle version's an option.
No, Nimrod changed up the tactic on that. Didn't go for the foot swap this time. Stepped through instead, and now he's standing on that zone hold. Just waiting for the score to be updated. Keep an eye, there we go, on the bottom left of your screen. That box fills up all the way for a top and halfway for a zone.
You can see his height there. He was very extended, unlike other athletes, when he'd reached that zone hold, which made it harder for him to jump out. You need that sort of spring. You need your legs to be bent so they can explode upwards.
Now let's watch the beginning of this, because this is the start I was talking about. Everyone so far is going for a very dynamic approach, but where he's got his hands, there is a possibility to jam a heel in there and do it a little bit more statically.
Yeah, it's very tricky with these dual textured volumes. Essentially all the good places you want the palm of your hand to create friction on have no texture, and that's quite risky actually. You can all of a sudden slip out of this. I think that's what we're seeing when they get to this compression section higher up.
Yeah, the feet run out up there. Meichi once again up high. Now he's trying to work this sequence out because the left foot isn't great. The right foot's on a nothing. You've got to press into that wall, and there is that toe hook. But the top of this, it's a very shouldery finish. You can see him coming in, and he's got to lock that shoulders off, move the feet through, and still pop out to the zone, but he's doing well. Meichi, one move away, minute 18 on the clock, left foot on the dual text. He needs to match in order to get this, goes for a toe hook to steady himself in. Oh, and that will count, powerful end for him. He tried every tactic and then just gave up and thugged it out.
Thugged it out. You can see a lot of athletes do that. And we saw even in the qualification highlights, I think it was due to an issue of time, Maximilian Milne getting the top hold of a qualification boulder, looking to put a foot, realizing he didn't have time and just thugging it out. One arm match.
Yeah, it's good to have that power in your back pocket in situations like that. But Nimrod is struggling with this jump. You can see how far it is. He is on the shorter side of our athletes competing. Not which that's any excuse, it just means you've got to alter the way you approach a boulder. And certainly, he will find the beginning easier, being a very tall person on that start, which is so crouched down. That makes it difficult.
Yeah, find the beginning easier, but just more power in the legs, you'll be able to solve the problems and explode up.
Exactly, height never really plays a factor, but it does affect how you climb the boulders. So he leads with 20 seconds on the clock. As our follow cam crosses the audience. I love it when they do this because it's. I want to see some Mexican waves. There aren't enough of them going on.
To get the MCs to organise a bit of fun in the crowd.
I'll have a word. We could pop down later. We'll sort it out. But it's a fun semi-final. Everyone getting behind the athletes. A lot of the women competitors are watching. They'll be enjoying the rest and the lack of pressure. Mikel Mawem, he's out on boulder number 1. Alex Megos is back on boulder 2, and that's Jan-Luca Posch on boulder 3. Now, Mikel Mawem is known for his dynamic, explosive style, so this is a boulder I would imagine he's going to enjoy.
Yeah, I do have quite high hopes for Mikel Mawem on this boulder, the explosive style, and also amazing, amazing climber at slabs. So this should be really, really in his ability.
Yeah, I think he would have smiled when he saw this, but just because it's your style doesn't mean it's possible. He's going to have to feel his way out across this. Where his hands are, that has got friction on it underneath and around the side, but the top, the brighter yellow, no friction. That left foot there, standing on a very slippery surface. It's a risky move, this, as he bumps down. That's the rubber, explained. So setting up now, he looks in quite an awkward position, but good catch with the left hand.
He needs to find some strength on that left foot. It looks like he's not quite as comfortable on that left toe as he'd rather be, but with a press from the right, he can get over and now commit the weight onto it.
I think if he was in a gym, he would have come off and redone that move, but because this is a semi-final and climbing it first time is important, he's pushed through. Ah, and you can see his power coming out. And
Really?
Muscle memory on these moves are very important.
Muscle memory is very, very important in all of climbing. It is one of the big things. Very few people are climbing boulders or even routes on their first attempt, and that's almost why we give it a special name. But a lot of the world's best athletes are very good at, they do it once, they can do it again, and then they figure out the next part.
Yeah, you can sometimes see the moment that changes their posture when they've worked it out, when they know the distance, the angle they've got to jump. You can see them almost relax. Alex came down then quite hard from that move. I think he was doing it dynamically as well. Jan-Luca Posch is on boulder 3, which is considered to be probably the hardest of this set. On the right of your screen. Alex coming down again from that move. And Mikel asking for a brush. This is this hard boulder. That move is brutal. Those crimps look positive from here. And I mean, they are fairly positive, but they're way more slopey than you'd want.
Yeah, little scoops in them, but if you're taking this massive swing off these two very small holds, it's very hard to do and very impressive, especially someone with Jan-Luca Posch's height. You have more inertial force going through it.
So Alex using some interesting beta coming through, tried to cross with the right. And there was a screw on where he was bringing his right, but it was tweaked by the route setters. And you can see why, because it would have made that move a lot easier if you can come into a catch.
Yeah, get that sort of thumb or palm on some friction that will really help compress on the volume.
So Mikel Mawem gets back to his jump. He's set up, just under 2 minutes to go. Out he comes, getting there. It's coming together. And Alex making progress on his beta too.
That is what we were told is the crux move, that right hand coming into the closer part of the volume, and we saw when Mechi Narasaki before done that, he actually completed the boulder after, so a sort of yell from the crowd as it's nearly through for Alex.
A few of the women have decided not to compete. I think people like Brooke Rabbatu decided that the lead season is coming and they wanted to concentrate on that. For the men, it seems like most are here. We're missing Manu Cornu for an injury. The French team member who's been doing well this season, but has a bicep tweak. Out Alex goes into that zone. Just the thumb, remember, not the whole volume. And he's got a minute and he's looking good now. So into this shoulder section. Big presses, standing up with the right foot on the volume. But remember, the end of this is not straightforward. Will he go for the toe to stop the swing? No, he just matches in. Lock-off strength from Alex and gets things done.
Very, very nice. I think he'll be a bit happy with that. We do talk about which side of climbing he prioritizes, and it's very hard to go out in a semi-final and not climb any boulders, so I think he will be pleased to at least feel like he's accomplished something today.
Absolutely. So Mikel has 24 seconds, which will be enough time Probably only for one though, so this jump is important as he sets himself up. And as we said, you never know what's coming. First two athletes sent this pretty quickly, and now we're seeing how difficult it really is.
Yeah, so that could really put them in some good stead for climbing up the leaderboard, maybe even getting towards a qualification for finals.
Absolutely, so never always watch from the beginning of a semi-final. Anything can happen. Great shot of Magos there. That was his attempt just to the right of Mikael. Huge leap from Alex, a whole body length up.
Straight into that guppy with the right hand, which is actually very technical. He's grabbing the no friction part of the hold with the fingers.
Alex got a toe underneath. I didn't see that on the initial play of that. That's why he could so statically reach his right hand over. Jongwon Chon is out in action. This man has seen a bit of a resurgence recently. Did very well in America.
Very interesting, very fun to watch him during semi-finals in Salt Lake City. In the previous competition, you could almost see himself in his own expression that he was coming back into form, really screaming and yelling as he found his way to the top of each boulder.
Yeah, I was talking to him in South Korea. He's 26 now, but he was telling me that he's not sure how many years he's got on the competition circuit. It is brutal, and there's a lot coming through, but yeah, he has found some great form. Fourth, of course, in Salt Lake City. And nearly on the podium, so don't write that man off yet. Meiichi Narasaki, 2 tops so far, and he's got just under 4 minutes to work out this savage boulder. Now, a few people have been asking me about the crosses on the volume. It's not an indication of anything, it's just a logo, and I'll point that out when we get to it. It's the same as those lightning bolts style things on that volume. Jongwon Chon tiptoeing out left.
Tiptoeing out. It's always interesting to see what the sort of result required to get into a final is going to be, because it could be some of these first athletes who climbed this boulder are seeing themselves getting a final position, but it always depends. We haven't seen all the boulders attempted yet. Are they incredibly hard and you're only getting 2-3 tops into finals, or do you need to do everything in 1 or 2 goals to qualify?
Yeah, we discover this as we go along. It's one of the things that makes a semi-final so good. Nimrod Marcus wanting a brush in the middle. And we saw Jongwon Chon earlier perhaps go for a bigger jump than necessary. He could press into that volume and try to get all the way over the top of it into the dish.
Also going for that skipping the first foot jib, which does seem to make the second half of this walk more difficult. You have to do that foot swap.
Yeah, that's the foot swap, so awkward to do. But actually, by being that low on it, it's less of a jump and more of a slide into position.
Slide along the no texture.
So this is what he did before. He went right on top into that dish, which is chalked, but everyone else has been going into a press, which is obviously about a foot lower.
A foot lower. So, yes, I think if there was no chalk on that dish above, he would instantly think, okay, it's up into a press. But as people are moving up to that dish to do the next part, he's just going straight forward, thinking that is the method.
Meiichi, incredibly strong, powering through these moves. That was impressive. Static power from the man, and these crimps now, he's having to lock them off, crimping his fingers onto them. And he's still got to go all the way out left to that hold. I think this is a good time to remind people that this is an isolation event, so the athletes don't know the intended beater, and they don't really know what the other athletes are doing. Once they've climbed, they leave the stage, and they go into the main climbing wall, into a bouldering area where they're held until their next slot to climb, so they don't know the beater. So it's easy for us to sit here and tell Jongwon that he's going to the wrong place on that hold. He hasn't got a clue.
No, and that is often like, let's see, is he going to switch it up or no? Going directly to the...
There we go, into the press. I thought he was winding up for a big jump again. He crouched down so low.
It, but figured out the stand into the press now. Slipping out. He did mention he wanted that dish brushed, and I think he's feeling the consequences of the low friction there.
Must be so frustrating when you do full 4 or 5 minutes, whatever it is, with one method, and then you unlock it in the last minute and realise that now you've only really got one attempt to send it.
Yes, we did see a lot of this in Meiringen earlier on this year. Essentially, half of the athletes nearly completing boulders in the last seconds.
So Nimrod Marcus, oh, having to scrunch his body up, almost kneeing himself in the head as he does it. Really difficult position. The problem is he's got to go left, so rotating your body from there is hard.
Very, very hard, and I think even with 30 seconds left, potentially one more go, he has decided to call it because it's just taking so much energy to complete that move.
Yeah, everyone's done. They leave with 15 seconds to go. We haven't seen the final boulder yet, but that's coming up soon as we work our way through this semi-final here in the glorious sunshine. So the buzzer counts down. We're into our transition period. The athletes will be running on right now. There's our crowd. Oh, the brushes are brushing, I should say.
Yeah, we do have this sort of, we likened it to a Formula One pit crew. 15 seconds, all the brushers run out, attack the holds, get them clean as they can, and then run off the stage.
I hope there's some competitiveness going on between the crews. So I think we're about to see boulder number 4, and it's on the right-hand side. Jan-Luca Posch has to run and jump from that right hold you can see all the way to the slopers. One of those coordination dyno moves that you either love or hate. It's a Marmite style move.
Marmite style.
Hopefully someone knows what I'm referencing there.
So Jan-Luca, again, one of the only athletes so far to have completed that first boulder. It is putting him in quite a good stead, but Mechi has done 2 boulders so far, meaning he is currently in first position.
So second member of Team Germany is out on the mats. Here's Philip Martin. And another one to keep an eye on. Hannah Moyle last night from Team Germany won silver. Wonderful performance from her in her first finals. See if Team Germany can recreate that tonight.
Philip Martin, very, very strong athlete in the training, exceptionally powerful, and just hasn't quite got to show his ability level in a competition yet. So, and also very skilled in both disciplines, bouldering and lead climbing. I do believe he won the German Bouldering Championships in 2020 and is just still working at that level, but not quite able to get the results in competitions.
Let's see what Alex can do with this. This is his kind of a boulder.
Very powerful method there.
Yeah, this is good from Alex coming off there, but that's good progress early on.
You
There's only
saw
a minute
him
gone.
almost cut loose before going up with that right hand. Really, really interesting. He just had so much power he could nearly hold his whole body on the left hand.
So he gets established now on this slab, that rubber covering the yellow holds now. You can see why, because the athletes have to slide their foot down and into it. Goes up into the press, and now he needs to turn his attention to this big dynamic sequence of moves. Once you commit to this, you can't really stop until the third hold, which is a stopping point.
Again, just like Alex Megos before, it looked like a more exploratory first move to see how grippy that first hold was.
Mikael Mauam in a similar position to Nimrod Marcus, but now drops the foot much better from him, and he's looking to go into the undercling on the left. That black volume pops out enough to be able to grab, but not working for him at the moment.
Very, very amazing. He was able to hold that position with the 2 hands on that one sort of crack system, you could call it, elevator style, opening the doors. Very hard, and that left hand was only on the no textured part of the hold, just refusing to fall.
Those are the crosses I was chatting about earlier on the holds. They're not indicating anything. A few people were wondering if it was a grippier surface or a texture. No, it's in fact, I don't think they have texture, those. So yeah, ignore the crosses. Now Jan-Luca Posch has come through the dynamic running start, and now he's getting himself set up for the final. Big move, jumps out, and another top from that man. Team Austria doing well, and it meant a lot. I'm sure we'll watch in a minute his first run, because that is the run and jump you can see behind him. Have to start on the right and go all the way to the left. But as with every semi-final, we immediately get more action as Philip Martin coming down. 15.
So with 2 tops, Jan-Luca's back in first position, which means to get in, I imagine to get into finals, we're looking at least 2, potentially 3 or 4 tops.
Yeah, so another high-scoring round here in the semis for the men. Alex Megos is still on. that move is so much harder than he's making it look. Comes out that shouldery iron cross style. But I think Alex might be getting to the end of this session's power on this boulder. Kel Mawam is trying some extreme footwork here. Oh!
Very difficult movement there.
I get his thinking.
Yeah, snap
you
into the
understand.
compression, but wow, that's hard.
Yeah, we'd like to see that work like that. 20 seconds on the clock. Philip Martin again into this press. And Mikael, you can see, exiting with 20 seconds to go. Philip Martin comes down, rolling on the mats. I think he's going to call it as well.
I wonder if this is one of those boulders that becomes much more difficult as the friction decreases with more and more climbers putting chalk and grease on those holds.
Alex Megos famously told me once, there's no such thing as bad conditions, it's just weakness. And there is something in that, because when you get to the end of this final, these guys are so, so good, and often they can do magic despite the friction. I'm watching Jan-Luca Posch's finish to his climb here, this massive move at the end, springing over and catching it. Good work from him.
Very, very cool. You saw in that double catch, he sunk all the way down, but still had enough power to compress at that fully extended position, which is very difficult.
So if you're watching for the first time, you can see how this works now. We get 4 athletes at a time. Towards the end of the semi-final, it'll calm down again until we're left with the last athlete climbing on stage by themselves. Yuji Inui, another Japanese team member who could make finals.
He's just left a very black mark on that volume now. A lot of the successive climbers will see someone's made a mistake there.
Climbing shoe rubber is a lot softer than the rubber on your trainers, and it does tend to leave those marks when you scrape it down the wall. Texture allowing them to do some of the moves we get to see. If you tried to do this in trainers, you'd really struggle. You need that grippy surface on your feet in order to make these moves happen. Pressing up again. Now he sets himself up for this jump. Watch that left hand. It's a sloper and you need to generate some power off it. Yeah, straight away asking for a brush.
Seems like a lot of people aren't initially going for, oh, Mechi's through. And this will be very good for him. He has now topped out 3 of the 4 boulders, putting him in quite a commanding position over the field.
Right, so that's going to put pressure on everyone. At least 3 really needed for a finals. And he's happy with that. So he'll leave, rest, and be updating the app to see if he got in. Look at these sequences through here, Nimrod Marcus. He is a powerful climber.
Powerful, powerful climber, but you saw him go straight from the toe hook, whereas other climbers released the toe hook, created some tension first before moving the right hand up, and there's just less swing out from the wall to deal with when you do that.
So Zhong Wenchon gets the zone, that thumb pressing in to the scoring point, and you can see he's been awarded it from previous attempts, I think. He's put some chalk there on his leg, so he just re-chalked up mid-move, I think.
Yeah, very popular in some longer climbing disciplines like sport climbing and deep water soloing. You put some chalk on your shorts when you're at the crux and you need to chalk up again. Slap your leg to get that extra boost.
Try it at home, you feel like a complete pro. At least I do, anyway. Pro moves, and that's what we're seeing here today. Nimrod Marcus has 2 minutes. Watch that toe. It needs to stay in and then be released for this move, and that's what makes it so difficult. The second that toe comes out, the swing starts, and you can see he's currently a long way off holding it. Zhong Wenchon on the big jump, flying through the air. High toe. He seems to have got this beater locked in.
Oh, wow. There's very little space for the fingers where he's holding on to there, but it looks like, can he make that work?
I think he's going to afford, if he goes for this big snatch, watch his feet, they just weren't that well set up.
Not in the required position.
That move is shouldery enough, and if you have no feet into there, it becomes almost impossible. That's our leaderboard on the right. Things will flip around and change, but you can see how it's starting to pan out. So 4 boulders here today. And it's interesting because of the way we're doing the format this week. Sometimes we have the men and women's semi-finals together. So we have 8 boulders on the wall. It totally changes everything by only having 4. Suddenly there's lots of space, but it can sometimes look a little bit empty.
It can look a little bit empty. And if you notice, all of the semi-finals will be set together at the same time. And so they will be on separate parts of the wall and they won't overlap. And you will see the final boulders sticking to a specific section of the wall. Marcus now doing some very interesting methods there. That hold is definitely not big enough to match.
Yeah, you'd have to have small fingers for that one. Oh, coming close on the big jump. He calls it a day. So everyone leaving the stage shaking their heads, puzzling round for those athletes.
Mechi will be starting to feel quite excited as more and more athletes don't find the solutions that he did.
Now this is the running start to that boulder, and not only do you have to run across volumes with no handholds, you have to go round a corner. So good spatial awareness required, and then a quick top. Narasaki, good work. We'll put him in a good position for tonight's finals. Time will tell. There's an enormous swimming pool behind the audience there. It's very strange because we have the sounds of climbing and the sounds of swimming all combined in this stadium.
It is quite funny. Every once in a while, it seems like a lost child wanders into the competition.
Climbing's better than swimming anyway. Max, another man you'll know fairly well.
Yep, work with Max a lot. And very, very talented, solid all-round athlete. Just capable in every section of climbing. But again, someone who's coming closer and closer to that level and just really working hard to show his ability.
Yeah, it's a bit of a proving year for a lot of these athletes. They want to be in contention for Olympic places later on. And remember, we have the first test event in Munich in August with a new format, boulder and lead, and a new scoring system, which we'll be chatting far more about as that event comes closer.
Now look, he's found that edge of the volume where there is that tiny bit of texture, only a centimeter over, but he's made that work and came across.
Yeah, it's a fiddly sequence that, but he stood up, and the problem is you get through the fiddly bit, then you got to do a jumpy bit. And it's low percentage moves. Mikael Mauam struggling on those crimps. More of a straight up method there. We see a lot of them flying left, but Philip Martin going more direct.
Yeah, it seems while the setters originally told us it was static, that was the original method the setters intended. Most other athletes did just dyno straight into the compression.
And actually, that looked way better. And certainly less energy sapping, I think. So he's quickly through. Let's see what you can do. We've seen the 2 methods now. He gets a heel in.
There we are. Great display of how this boulder should be climbed. Now can get that foot lean across left to hold the shoulder. Be quite happy with that progress though. Look to repeat it on the next attempt.
Magos did that run statically. I think he fell into the corner and then paused a little bit. But now we know this top is very doable from this point, but it is thuggy and physical, as you can see. A big jump from Alex, and he'll top out for his second top of the semi-final. And has a little sit as well.
Psych, and that is the end of his climbing in the semi-finals. Thought he'd just give a good one on the last hold, but yeah, as you could see in that run, so confident on his feet and entering into these body positions where he could just balance in the corner.
Hey, my eyes water that final move. Alex having a seat on the semi-finals, why not? Philip Martin's got 1:56. He had a long look at the clock. Hands on hips, that classic climber's pose.
Mikael Mauam is one of those climbers I associate with amazing ability to jump or move dynamically into different positions. And I'm not talking about coordination, I also mean in those more powerful overhanging movements on crimps. Unfortunately though, this first move that he seems to be struggling on, you need to be a bit more static, release the toe hook, hold a static position on the volume before going up, which is not the style that I would often associate him with.
So Philip Martin with his different techniques stretches out to the zone hold, locks in the heel, but you saw it pop as he made the move. The time before, he just had it a little more locked in and well established.
You can see him tighten his shoe there. The heel did not activate in the way that he wanted it to, and it looks like he'd be very aware he's only got one really good attempt left on this boulder.
So an interesting round playing out as foot pop. Back down, that's the worst feeling, especially when you've got 46 seconds on the clock. He has a look at the clock, but I think he's thinking about finishing. Out again, Philip Martin catches it, watch the heel this time. Sets it better. Oh, then slips.
The left foot slips.
Well, falls all over the place here. These boulders starting to show their teeth.
Starting to show their teeth. Very good way of putting it.
So Mikel Mawem leaves in the sunshine. So does Philip Martin. We haven't seen a top for a while. Alex, I say that, Alex got a top, didn't he? So boulder number 4 is very toppable, if you can work out the run and jump. Lots of umbrellas being utilised. It's a hot day.
So it is our first 2 athletes out currently holding the top positions. A bit of a mix-up in the predicted scoring because obviously they're released in reverse order of qualification. You would imagine the last athletes are the ones that are entering into finals.
Yeah, I think it's a good indication of the general quality, the fact that we keep saying people qualifying last and yet almost making finals. Sima Lorenzi, well, there's another man who's good at outdoor climbing. He's climbed some of the hardest boulders in the world, thinking Big Island sit-start. So I've forgotten the actual name for now.
Sudan Sol?
Sudan Sol, there we go. Thank goodness someone knows what they're talking about. So he's got quality outdoors, he's got quality indoors.
Pop from the left hand there. Breakdown in some friction. My hands are sweating just watching.
I think that's the heat. Zhong Wen-Shon puts on liquid chalk, and there's a difference in chalks, isn't there?
Oh yes, very important. The liquid chalk as well. It does create chalk more ingrained in the skin, that deeper chalking, as you might want to call it. But also the alcohol actually evaporates some of the oils or dissolves some of the oils on your skin, which then means there is less grease there as well.
It does take a bit more time to dry though, so you got to time it. Now Nimrod Marcus used the method that when I looked at that boulder, I thought that's what it was. That it's a low catch, yeah. And yet the route setter was saying it's more of a falling press.
Falling press. Different options, different skill sets will be required for those different methods. For sure, you can do the drop down if you're more confident grabbing with the arms. But if you're more confident in controlling your hips and your feet, then you'll go into that press.
Simon Lorenzi is up into the jump now. Let's see what he can do. He sets himself likely to be a sighter unless he gets it right. Just seemed to get caught up underneath the hold there. Perhaps a foot. I heard it kicking the wall.
Bit of a kick. Ooh, you could see there as well. He tested out the dish and either decided that it wasn't deep enough, there wasn't enough positivity for him to pull on, or he was just a bit too extended and couldn't spring up to jump from that hold.
Yuji using the static method. Oh, but he's been called back by a judge. So let's explain this. You see the starting hold, there's red lines on it. You need a limb in that, and you can't just rush to start. You need to be in a controlled position, which he is there. So just being told by the judges to start again. That will count as an attempt. Simon Lorenzi, gets that foot on just
about. And you can see one of the world's most accomplished outdoor climbers really struggling with that first slab walk across.
Nimrod did this first bit really quite well. Oh, he does that jump down, huge move. But he struggled on the second part, which is interesting.
It is. Those two holes that you dynamically go into are very far apart. And you saw two of our larger athletes, Gianluca Posch and Mechi Narasaki, go into full extension on them. So it really is, you need to be all the way out with your arms in order to grab those two holes.
Yeah, an interesting difference in styles between the first half and the second half of this men's sport. First half is very modern style, that parkour running across slabs, which, as I said before, Marmite love or hate those kind of moves. But then, yeah, very thuggy bit to finish out on. Lorenzi, though, is not making progress at the moment. In fact, we haven't seen a top of men's one for a while now.
No. First two athletes out managed it, and then since it's proven very, very difficult.
Getting lots of support from the crowd, though. Right, up to the pop.
Can see already he's quite extended on that left foot, which will make it hard to move around to the right and jump. Does find a different method of actually lifting the foot off before going, but really, really powerful on just one leg there.
Spinning off.
Wow, he actually caught it with so much power as he tried to fight against the swing. He swung himself back the other way.
Overcooking it, maybe. So, with 30 seconds to go, Yuji Inouye is done. Lorenzi, though, has got plenty of time to do this. Once again, I think he's going to get to that press position. Yeah, up he goes. Ooh, going a little left there, but catches it with the right. Left hand on the dish, which is terrible. And then, yeah, not the power in his legs anymore, and he'll call it a day. So the clock ticks down. About halfway through now, in terms of athletes out.
And I think our next athlete out, Rei Kawamata, is someone who's been very dominant, very present in finals lately, so let's keep an eye. It does appear that climbers are going to need to have a top on this first boulder if they want to make it into the finals, so really keep an eye on what he makes of this first boulder.
There he is on stage, announced by the audience, by the announcer. And he'll start this walk across we've seen now. And pretty much everyone using very similar beta on it.
There's, I think, two main methods depending on whether or not they choose to start on the left foot jib or on both the right and left foot jib, either the foot swap or the step through, both very hard. The foot swap, very technical, high risk, as one foot needs to jump and the other needs to land in the perfect position, and the step through, very powerful as you keep those crouched legs.
So Mikael Mawa made it through the run and jump. And now he'll look to go out and then catch underneath with that right hand, which he does.
Great yell there. He does this powerful move.
Finally, should be easy for him, and it is. So, not the best of rounds, but a top to finish things off. I don't think that's going to be enough for finals, but he is sitting in fourth. You never know. That's Max on men's 2. Mikael leaves. He gets a bit more of a, I say a rest, he's done, isn't he? So he gets an early finish to his afternoon.
It almost looks like a 3D model as they do this sliding pan shot, doesn't it?
Yeah, lovely shot. And that shows the length of our wall. It's enormous and permanent, so you can come and climb on it once we're finished with it. Oh, Max with a big move out left. Lost the feet.
Having a little word to himself there, probably thinking about some kind of solution to the issue that he just encountered, gripping with that left hand.
It can be a lonely place out there because when they're training, they're with their coaches, they're with their other teammates. Out on the mat, it all suddenly becomes very focused on you. And if it's not going right, well, it's hard work.
Very hard work, very mentally taxing, and now climbing teams are only now starting to get psychological and mental coaches involved, and I think it's going to make a very big difference to the sport and the performance level.
Yeah, I think as things have developed over the years, and now being an Olympic sport, there's a different mentality starting to come in as our sport gets more attention. It was always a professional sport, but it's becoming more and more so every year. Oh, a quick bump out there.
Wow, just, oh my goodness, what a save. Twice now. Firstly on the no texture hold, and then manages to find a tiny foot jib.
Yeah, Ray getting away with it. Oh, and he cut loose completely there before he made the jump. Let's watch Michael Mawam's final climb of the afternoon. So the run and jump start across those volumes, and then that's that press, falling press style move. And Nimrod Marcus did it very differently by jumping in and catching the swing.
You could see how close his face came to the wall. That is really, you need to get your body, your center of gravity right in that corner to make it work. And so as a very experienced athlete, he knew getting that face into the corner, kind of high risk, but he knows how to stop smacking his head on the wall.
So Ray is having problems on this first part. Oh, another buggy move from Max. Klistertal.
A lot of different methods on this compression part of the boulder, and you can tell it seems to be whether or not you climb it depending on the method.
So Ray is back up and going. He's looking to swing. The problem is that right foot is so small you can't really swing. Oh, and you can see how hard that is. I think he's done. He is.
Calling it. That will be putting some doubts in his head after such a strong performance the last few competitions. What is that going to mean for his chances getting into the final tonight?
Boulder number 3, we knew it was hard, and it's proving to be. Oh, big fall down. Tetra style fall, that.
Goodness gracious, and fully out of energy there. You can tell when they don't even try to protect their landing or land on their feet, they just fall on their backs, that they're really done.
I was talking to my co-commentator Quinn yesterday, Quinn Mason, and we were talking about fall practice and whether nationalities are starting to do that. And apparently it's not a thing yet, but they do talk about it.
Fall practice.
How to fall from the top, because this is 4.5 meters up and you're taking big falls. And I was asking whether they practice that, how to fall without an injury.
Well, actually, I think it's very, it's being very highly addressed in the strength and conditioning training that athletes are doing. Before, you never see a climber doing squats in the gym, but they are all now getting a barbell, doing squats and deadlifts to build up that strength in the legs, and strength is the main factor in protecting the body from injury. So actually it's very highly integrated right now, and then furthermore, I guess they are developing ideas of technical training and fall practice.
Yeah.
And it is quite linked into the settings. Setters are often starting to put more dynamic and high-risk movements towards the top of the wall. And there's often a conversation when a boulder's up there, there's a massive jump at the top of the wall, and the setter goes, no, this is a bit too dangerous, we might lose a leg here, so let's switch it up.
Tomoe Narasaki kicks off his tournament, and this is a man, oh, he's been competing since 2011, so experienced. Last combat, he was 7th, but in Seoul, silver medal, and Maringin gold, so Tomoe Narasaki will be looking to get into another finals. Yuji Inoue is on this really tricky men's 3, and Jongwon Chon, well, he's made the run, and now watch this snatchy compression move. He's going to have to pop dynamically. He'll go out left, and then, oh, just lost the foot.
Losing the foot, not quite on the same form he was in Salt Lake City, which I make note of because he was absolutely spectacular to watch. The number of screams from the top of the wall as he did his semi-qualification climbs, very exciting.
Just watch Simon Lorenzi using the heel jam, another option for that start, and it looked good.
Wow, look at this movement.
He's got his feet in a great place, very shouldery, drops in underneath, and now he needs to do a big pop, gets the right through, the top's in sight, gets it, will he get the toe in? He does, locks it in and tops out. And Seaman using all of his shoulder strength. He's a very good climber in Fontainebleau where shouldery moves like that, a common.
All of his shoulder strength and all of his hip ability as well. That heel hook was one with the 2 closer positions on the volume. None of the other climbers could make that heel hook work. Now, something to point out is Sudan Seoul, this Big Island sit start, is incredibly difficult and technical heel hooks. So he's very well trained from an outdoor aspect in using his hips to lock him into the wall in this way.
It's a good example of why a lot of athletes build in outdoor climbing into their regime. It didn't used to be a thing, and in the last couple of years it's become it. And I think people like Adam Ondra, who climbs 9C outdoors and still has a successful competition record. It shows it is possible. And Zhongwan here is on the final move, a big left out. Gets the top for him, his first of the session. That'll bump him up the rankings.
Yeah, really interesting your point on athletes building outdoor climbing into their training. I think it is a part of, especially a lot of athletes get their passion and drive from climbing outdoors, and so they do need to maintain that contact in order to feel the motivation that gets them on the wall and gets them pushing to get to the top. And I lived with Nils Favre in Ticino for a couple of months at the start of this year, and the training he did outdoors was outrageous. And there's a type of training called Aufbau training, which is sort of base building, where you have to repeat a climb every 2 minutes, 8 times in a row. Nils Favre was doing this on 8A+ boulders.
It's my lifetime goal, that. Just one of them, let alone 4.
That gives you a bit of an idea of the level of training these athletes are working at to compete in a World Cup circuit.
So, Tomoe Narasaki makes good progress. He's got that zone locked in. He's got 50 seconds. Puts on the liquid chalk, so we'll have maybe one more go. We'll wait for that to dry. Beat in the background. Steps it up a bit as we build towards the climax of the semi-final. Big names to come. The big names out on the mat at the moment. Locks in the toe hook. Oh, so crimpy, it makes my fingers hurt looking at that thing.
It looked like it hurt his fingers too as he looks down, somewhat in pain.
He calls it a day. So Yuji Inouye exits the stage. Tomoe Narasaki, his teammates, still on. 10 seconds to go. He'll have one last attempt at this. A big jump. He's going to have to be quick, and he's going to be timed out of this. He might just do it. Oh, getting closer as well.
Found the friction on those holds. He will be a little bit upset because I'm sure he's quite confident he could have done that boulder in the next go or two.
And he had to climb through the full 5 minutes, so.
Look at the compression ability here. Again, this boulder we keep referring to as one of the hardest compression boulders in the world. And Simon Lorenzi able to use a method none of the other athletes were making work and maybe potentially strong enough to do, but his power really showed there.
Zhong Wan made quick work of that final part once he got through the run and jump. And it took quite a while just confirming with the judges that that was the score had been awarded. The athletes do check. They want everything to be in place when they leave the mats, so they have a look at what the judges have written on the scoring cards to make sure it tallies up. Mathieu Ternant is on from Team France. And we're missing a few stars from Team France. Mejdi Schalk not competing, and of course he won gold, his first gold, and you were watching.
Yeah, that was an exciting moment. Never seen a man jump so high on the mats.
Someone described him to me as bouncy. I thought that was a brilliant description of Mejdi. But his teammates are representing. And Mathieu Ternant is underway. But an early slip from him. Ray battling with this zone move, gets a toe.
Able to reverse and try a different method. Very difficult.
Deciding to pinch it and then changing it into a shoulder move, which he makes look simple. And now needs to keep the tension for this last move. Watch his right foot. Will he adjust it? He goes for a high toe. This is a risky method, but makes it work.
Wow, that was very, very difficult. You saw how statically he went out to the finish hold. So much power and tension in that right arm to stop from swinging out from the wall.
Right, he's through. Philip makes quick work of the run and jump, and now into this section. We've seen a few do that, and he's frustrated at himself.
Just sliding out on that left hand.
Run and jumps like that tend to be quite low margin, and when you have to do it repeated times, those margins get harder.
Really surprising, our first two athletes out. Now we're getting some big names, and they are holding the top 2 positions.
Still in the mix. That's Gianluca Posch and Michi Narasaki. Came out first and making a bid for a finals place. So Max pauses pretty sure we haven't seen any tops on this yet.
Not yet.
Have we seen any zones even? I'm just checking the scores.
All the athletes have struggled to make that come across. You go out right and then you have to move left, crossing your hands over each other to get towards that zone. Incredibly difficult on bad holds.
Interesting. Kept that left hand engaged on the first hold.
That was quite interesting, almost a little bit of a breakdown in coordination. As he pulled so hard with the right hand, he pulled himself off the left hand hold. But he will have learned from that how to really grip and create force from that right hand hold.
Now the problem with that method of doing this boulder is you're very close to the ground. If you touch the ground, that's it, end of your attempt. So keeping your feet up if you're using that more dynamic style can be quite difficult. We saw Magos cruising through that shoulder move, but another indication of how hard it is. So yeah, watch this, watch his feet. So he drops down, and then, oh, that time, slightly different method, more of a fall into it. And now he messed this up the first time. Can he get it the second time? Left, right catch, not quite.
Again, not getting the tension on that left arm. It needs to pull in order to make the right hand hold work. And then his left foot comes off the hold.
Turn on, looks to the clock, makes sure he's within his time.
Max Kliesattel now, definitely a climber, strong on crimps, but we have also seen some of the world's best climbers on overhang struggle with this movement. He's going for that full release from the toe hook, which creates so much backwards force. It's incredibly hard to hold on to.
Turnon hasn't been competing that much recently. Last senior IFSC event was the World Championships in 2021. He's done a few continental cups since then. Hasn't really been on the senior World Cup circuit for a while.
Philip Martin will have one last attempt at this, coming so close already.
Ah, again, his feet smearing on the wall to make that, so you're doing a full catch with your feet not really on.
So for a second we thought there'd be a lot of tops in this semi-final round, and it is it's proving not to be the case.
Yeah, it's turned out to be quite cagey out there. Makes it almost more exciting though, because the margins get smaller and smaller to make it through. Every mistake will count. That was a good top from Ray.
Quite expressive Ray as well, lots of yelling when he gets to the top.
So this was that drop down where his feet came so close to the bottom, inches off the mat, and then the miss coming into the slab. Right, Maximilian Milne, let's call him Max Milne, from Great Britain. He is vying to make a finals place this season. He's been close, and he has a very similar style. He trains a lot with Mejdi Schalk and has that similar spring to him, so I think he's going to enjoy this sequence of moves coming up. Big character on the World Cup scene, and yeah, made that jump look good.
Yeah, a little bit more purchase on that hold. A lot of the athletes getting absolutely nothing on their first go, so somewhat hopeful that he'll continue on with this.
Yeah, it was a good sighter. Now Tomoe Narasaki is towards the business end, into this shoulder pinch, goes for the pinch, flicks it over. And let's look at his feet. It's all about the foot movement. Ah!
Fortunately, just dropped a little bit too low on that left shoulder, which is incredibly hard to hold when your hand is away from the center of your body. You want to be up there, hands almost against your chest. That's where you're most powerful.
So Yuji grabs the brush, cleans up the slopers, which will be getting less and less friction on them as more and more athletes touch them. Sima Lorenzi, he's on this powerful, and well, so far we haven't seen anyone get near it.
No one near it. Now he almost flashed a famous outdoor boulder in Ticino, 8B plus I believe it's called. Came exceptionally close to flashing it, and that is more of this overhanging, almost the exact same angle, just powerful moves on crimps. Again, we're hoping maybe he can utilize some of that outdoor skill in the World Cup circuit.
Yeah, I'd love to see a top of it. I just want to see what the route set has intended on the top sequence. So So waiting for this run and jump, having a look at it. It is around a corner. He's looking at that hold, studying, trying to get some kind of a hint of how to hold it. Now this is these powerful crimps.
There's the power.
But the move to the zone is enormous because he's got to bring his right hand through and underneath. There it is, and he's got to unwind all the way to the left to another similar hold. And it's basically a one-armer.
Oh, for sure. I think it's almost more difficult because of the angle of the hold. You definitely aren't pulling directly down. Maybe that's the furthest we've seen on that boulder.
Yeah, he's starting to look more comfortable on it. Tomoa Narasaki dropped the top just now. Can he keep it together? Left hand underneath that hold. One hand on, he's got to match it. Gets the toe hook looked in, waits, gets confirmation. Good work from him on a boulder that's becoming more and more important to climb if you want to make it through. 2:23 on the clock. So Yuji Inui is making progress, trying to do this statically. Oh, nearly made it work.
Getting into that left-hand undercut, just to allow him to bring his body as far across to the left as he can, which essentially is just going to make the jump a little bit smaller. Smaller jump, less risk. Unfortunately, not able to make it work on that attempt.
Yeah, he's got time. I'm sure he'll make an adjustment. Max still on boulder 1, which we thought was easy, and it's not. And Simon on boulder 3.
Simon, with how this boulder looks, I think we'll only have one good attempt left. Really needs to rest as much as he can to get those sort of creatine, ATP levels back ready for this powerful, powerful attempt again.
So Max comes up into the press. He's got the slab dialed. It's just this jump. And a little bobble with his feet there as he made it, pushing him backwards, away from the wall. He wants to be more in. Ah, great top.
Very expressive from Yuji Inoue.
Lovely to see a bit of emotion out there on the mats.
The man is psyched.
He'll know it's not a high-scoring round, so could put him in a good position. Max, 9 seconds. He's still going. I don't think he's going to have the time, though. He's not.
Had that good first attempt, but unfortunately not able to capitalize on it and get further up the boulder.
So we rotate again. Coming towards the end now. 7 athletes we haven't seen. Do-Yeon Lee will be out next for South Korea.
Do-Yeon Lee, an athlete very close to John Won Chong. John actually introduced him as his brother, and for the longest time I got confused because they have different names. And he said, "No, not my biological brother, but he is my brother."
Well, he's been consistent. 10th place finish in the last 2 comps. The Maringi was a bit of a hiccup for him. Anyway, Max drops down, those feet so close to the mat. Re-establishes himself. Now, how will he do this? We've seen a static way. It looks like he's going to do it, and then, yeah, look, he's changing. A big pop out left and the catch. Maybe not coming low enough with that right hand.
Yeah, not quite in the right position, but again, it's the left hand hold needs to get purchased first in order to bring that force across so the right hand hold can work. And you saw him there dragging down the left hand hold. Unfortunately, maybe it's a friction issue. Maybe he just didn't find the right point of the hold.
Do-Yeon Lee, there he is. We were discussing him earlier. And he's got this foot swap problem too. He brings it inside. It's looking like he wants to get the left out there. But he's going to have to, no, commits to the step through. Oh, and out, using the wall.
Very great control there.
Yeah, it's just figuring it out. Still hasn't locked in that sequence. And he's coming up from a long way down in order to stand into this press as well. Do-Yeon Lee back down, hands on hips, has a rethink.
Everyone's having an exploratory first go. Don't see any athletes really going for it on that first attempt. such a technical move, so much coordination. They need to do some research first.
So Mathieu Ternant towards the end, getting allayed from the crowd as the French team get behind him. There are various words of encouragement that are used within climbing. Alley is one of them. We've got Gamba Gamba from Japan. I'm trying to think of some others now.
In Italy, they say die.
True.
Which was a very strange experience, not knowing that the first time climbing with Italians. I was on a very high-ball roof, and everyone started yelling die at me. Had to question some things, but I did survive.
So Daeyeon Lee is coming up to 2 minutes left. And this boulder, a real thinker. The route setters have done a great job with had to pull it together in just a couple of months. This whole competition is rescheduled. They've done a great job.
They've done a great job of really mixing up the field as well. As we talked about in the women's final last night, surprising results as athletes with different skill sets were really able to show their ability. It seems like that is occurring today as well. So we are not into our top qualifiers yet.
Yeah, we've got Jakob Schubert to come. He'll be out next in a minute and a half. And we finish with Yannick Flowey, who qualified in first position from Friday's qualifying round. So Mathieu Ternant is rubbing his feet, looking at the clock. He's kept an eye on that clock throughout. Good awareness of what's going on around him. And that's clear. He's about to start this run. Clissetel coming up into the slope, a pinch, and he had to think about this move before, commits to the big pop, and again, just for a moment it looks like he's on and then gone.
Yeah, looked like he found the right position with the hands that time, but lost the strength in that full shoulder extension. As that arm comes all the way out, the scapula extends. So hard to hold tension.
Good move from Daeyeon Lee. He's not using it, now goes to the dish. That right foot really not on very much, and that's what makes this boulder hard. Usually you can drive yourself right or left if the footholds are good, but that's so bad.
Nice Clissetel, very frustrated now, getting to this move so many times, getting so close on it, and unfortunately it hasn't quite happened yet.
He's got one more attempt, drops down, holds it, 13 seconds to go, comes up, don't overrush it now, he's got time, 9 seconds, pops, doesn't make it work. Good effort from him on his final boulder. Oh, trying to match again that hold.
Very hard. I'm excited to see as some of our strongest qualifiers come out, what are they going to make of boulder number 3? Are we going to see a top or even a zone so far?
Yeah, Kokoro Fuji is coming soon, and he's a man who could do that. So, Jakob Schubert from Austria will come on. Double world champion, so experienced. There he is, announced to the crowd. Now we're in South Tyrol here, right near the Austrian border, and he's a popular, well, the whole Austrian team are popular. There he is. That is a man. The Olympic bronze medalist. He loves competing. It's everything to him. That's our top 6. And it's only 6 athletes to go through, so down towards that 6th position. Simon Lorenzi jumps up into 6th. Tomoe Narasaki, I think, leading the way. No, sorry. Meiichi Narasaki. Brothers confused, he's leading the way. So Jakob Schubert doing well on these slabs.
Through on the first attempt. We've seen a mix, some climbers getting through quite quickly, others really not figuring out this slab section at the start.
So Jakob stood up, chalks up.
Nice French blow there before getting into the business of the climb.
We saw Max leaving in front of our screen. Fairly sure he's just sent that boulder too. So Jakob looks around, he's trying to settle into this semi-final. Breathing hard.
Max will really put himself in good stead with that top, one of only a few athletes to find top so far in the semi-final round.
So Tomoa Narasaki rests, and this is Max's top. We saw him exit across the camera, and this is why. Great finger strength from Max, one of his strengths.
Just a powerful method. Wow, that is very, very impressive. Also finding this strange crimp, which isn't really a hold, actually a completely different method to other climbers so far, but so powerful. He was able to hold these positions that no one else has.
That was Max's top, so a zone and a top for him. And a chest bump, why not? Chest pound, I should say. Right, Tomoa is getting close. This is the move that we haven't seen anyone do. Big swing up, gets it, locks it in. That could be a zone. We'll wait for confirmation from the score. Looks for a high heel. He should get this zone. Comes up to the bad sloper.
That hold is very, very bad. He is going to have to make some sort of plan if he wants to be able to get some friction on that.
Well, it's interesting with that boulder because the crux is actually the final move, so and no one's got to the crux of it yet. It's a difficult one. Simon Lorenzi on his final boulder looks around the corner, eyeing it up. There is Jakob Schubert on the left. Boulder 2 is empty because of Max's quick send. And Simon Lorenzi on the right. Tomoa Narasaki, can he put it all together finally and send Boulder 3? Well, Jakob sets himself up for the jump once more.
Was his teammate the first one to figure it out? Let's see if they're training.
Jakob getting closer, and he's got a minute 12. It is enough time. Has he learned from that? Simon, big pop out, and again holds it for a second before coming down. Tomoa Narasaki rested well here. He's got a minute to put everything together on this boulder. Up with the left hand, into the bag crimps. Cuts loose and campuses up. And this is the sequence, and he doesn't make it work.
Out
And
of
he's
power
done.
there, and he is done. 40 seconds left. Someone would have thought he had some time. So it really must be a decision in terms of energy management there.
That's it, isn't it? People watching at home probably screaming, telling him to carry on, but there is only so much you've got in your body. And remember, he has to do a finals if he gets through later on, so it is a balancing act. Simon Lorenzi, though, he's got his final boulder and he needs this top. Oh, that was awkward. Jakob Schubert makes the catch, 14 seconds, he'll have enough time, goes up, the heel hook in, and a great start for Jakob Schubert's final. Unlocking it, and again, that means a lot.
Very psyched with that, and used the same method as his teammate, Yannick Floyd. So potentially this is a result of their training and understanding these types of movements.
Yeah, he almost hurt himself celebrating in the air, then landed so awkwardly. Tomoa, last seconds, it gets counted down, and he's still going. Oh, it's a replay, sorry, of this. This is how close he came. Oh, went for the high heel, didn't get it, toe in. And that was the final move, the hardest move really in that boulder. And this was Jakob Schubert's top. Look, he's surprised, he looks at the clock, checks he's got time, and rushes through that last sequence.
Very, very impressive, especially being one of those climbers is more known for the outdoor style. And I've had conversations with him about the new competition style. It's not his preferred style, not his favorite, but he's very, very able to perform on it.
So Yoshiki Ogata comes out. He won the last men's competition in Salt Lake. Chitano on his final, third climb. And we know it's possible now, at least.
You think it's possible, the third climb. That hold very bad.
Very bad.
And the top crux, well, what do we know about that?
Well, it's the hard bit, apparently. Allegedly the hard bit of that boulder, but
Oh, goodness.
the route setters went for it on that one. But sometimes those boulders act as a good way of separating. I mean, you've got to come out with 6 finalists out of this. When everyone's world class, you need to put in a few really tricky boulders like this.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to see more and more of now as well. Some really, really high level boulders that only the top competitors are going to be able to do within the 4-minute time frame.
Now Mathieu Ternant is going up with the right hand, which is not really right, because you then get yourself in all types of a pickle continuing. You need to really rotate and bring the left through to that hold. One of those moves that's easier to do with the right hand probably, but just doesn't set you up for the rest of the boulder. Do-Yeon Lee comes in. He needs this one if he wants a finals place.
Very powerful holding that position. Looking strong here.
Everyone goes into the pinch and then flips it. Shoulder move to come in. Uses the dual text to just steady himself as an intermediate. And looking in control.
Looking so strong through the top section.
Oh, hang on, no, we say that. This could be difficult, yeah. That would have been a nasty fall, I think, if he'd come from that, but he hasn't worked this out. Looks for the heel. Matches. I was getting worried for Do-Yeon Lee there. That high heel on such a bad hold to bring the right in could have resulted in a nasty fall.
Again, one of those things where the route setters may set this kind of movement and then intentionally have to say, no, this is too dangerous. We need to change it.
So Rei Kawamata makes it around the corner. Oh, and then a foot pop on the left.
A lot of athletes struggling to get pressure on that left foot to come across.
There's Miho Nanaka looking stylish. And you heard the gambo we were chatting about earlier. Oh, good work from Ogata. Ooh, that was a nasty fall.
Big slap there. Did he land on a microphone?
Yeah, well, we have put mics on the wall now. It's at the top of the wall, and personally, I think it's such a good upgrade to our broadcast, being able to hear what the athletes are saying, for better or worse sometimes.
Better or worse, definitely some of the screams as they catch top holds. Very exciting part of the sport.
Absolutely. So Mathieu is taking a second to brush that hold. He's got a minute. He'll be resting, saving himself for a last go at this.
One last go. One of those boulders you really have to rest enough before trying. You cannot throw yourself at this thing.
So breathing deeply, waiting for his body to come back to him. That swing around the corner. If you try to do it in a oneer like that, you do literally have to go around the corner whilst running. Right
the way around the corner. You can see he puts that palm out to sort of stop the swing. You need something to oppose this slopey left-hand side pull, but you're working on two different angles as your body swings.
Great shot of the feet. That's how small the foothold is. You have to generate. But he is huge amount of power coming off that right foot.
A huge amount of power, and with 10 seconds left, it doesn't look like he's going to get another attempt.
So he came close, but no top as he leaves. Took some big falls. Hopefully he's okay. Was holding his hip a bit there, but all these athletes finish these comps bruised and battered. Exhausted by the end of it.
Climbing is a very interesting sport. The amount of, I think it is consistent with all high athletic sports that they have exceptional pain management, but at least in climbing it is very, very visible. Most athletes coming off with no skin in their hands, lots of them taping up blood. We saw Camilla Moroni actually get a massive splinter in the side of her hand in Salt Lake City, which luckily didn't bleed, but she did have a very big piece of wood going through her hand.
Yeah, it's tough out there. We watch the replays. Kokoro Fuji, he's a man that I might put some money on doing number 3. He's got that style, I remember in the World Champs, and pulling out a ridiculous sequence of moves. But falling off that slab straight away and laughing at himself, I think. What can Max do on this boulder?
What can Max do? I would like to see. Very powerful, and again, part of that British scene where they love their hard board climbing, and it looks like this is what is going to be tested on boulder number 3.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm thinking of all the British crags now full of disgusting crimps. He should be He should be well used to that. Jakob Schubert goes feet first. This is the method we've seen a few do, where you almost knee yourself in the head. It doesn't work so well, although it feels like the right thing to do when you're up there.
Now can he transfer tension over to the left? He has this exceptionally bad Gaston hold, which was never intended to be a hand hold.
He was always pinching it. Crazy.
Some climbers made it work.
So Max with that left hand through. We watched Mathieu earlier using the right hand to start with, but that left is better to roll over.
Not releasing the toe hook first though, which we've seen. I don't think anyone has held that massive swing that's generated. I would love to see it held though. It would look bloody amazing.
Rei Kawamata. Sorry, not Rei. What am I talking about? Kokoro Fuji. Staying very low on the slab. I thought when I first saw it that the athletes would be walking above the slab, but the wall kicks out. It's an overhang there. It would just push you away, so you have to stay low on it. Good work. Getting closer.
Samoa now, you would have thought this is the boulder that he would run straight through. I've seen him in other competitions. Before athletes even pull on, he's topping out boulders. And it seems like he's taking a couple of attempts on the final boulder today.
So Jakob Schubert is in action. He's already got one top, but he needs to get this boulder. This is the boulder that we're seeing people finish. And if he manages to get it, it'll leave him in a good position, but struggling at the moment.
Some complaining. I imagine that'll be around the friction. That is kind of, if there is an issue, it would probably be due to the friction on the climb.
Kokoro staying low. Left foot on that nubbin.
Really pumping it in to make it stick and work.
I was waiting for the foot pop there. That slope is terrible. It's a great angle to see that. And he's trying to almost to match it, then go right again. Max in the now standard position on men's 3, which is staring up at it in confusion.
Staring. Standard position.
Yeah.
That's the key part of the beta.
Climbers like looking at boulders. They like looking at their fingers. So Tomoa comes in nicely, drops down, gets set up. Right, let's watch where he's having troubles, because he made that first run look great. Oh, holds the slap this time. Right, so Tomoa should finish this off now. Big move, hesitated halfway through, but got it done. And that's another top, so 2 tops, 2 zones for Tomoa Narasaki, leaving him in second at the moment.
Amazing little foot swap. I don't know if you noticed during that crux, standing on the left foot, jumping out, but actually jumping the feet as well, landing on the right foot. So there's 3-part coordination.
So Jakob sticking with this method, coming into the zone, that thumb catch. It's not working for him, and he hasn't changed it up. And with 40 seconds to go, he might not have left himself enough time. Oh, what a drop knee.
Scary drop knee there. Jakob is calling it after that.
Yeah, he doesn't like it. Max got close to the zone, though. He won't get awarded it. You can't just snatch at it. And he finishes his 3rd boulder. When will that elusive finals come for Max Milne?
Well, it looks like with that top Tomoa, Narasaki's actually put himself in 2nd position, pushing off Gianluca Posch by 1 attempt on the final boulder.
So let's watch some replays of this. Tomoa Narasaki, that was the drop down. Composed himself well, and let's look at that Pop's foot swap. Well, I think we missed it there, but that final finish, really spectacular way.
Very, very difficult move. I think everyone has done it when they get there, but actually exceptionally hard move.
So Hamish MacArthur comes out, and let's have a look at the scores as they stand as we get towards the end of this competition. On the right-hand side, Tomoa Narasaki and his brother Meiichi Narasaki leading the way.
That'll be exciting. 2 brothers in the finals.
Giving it Gianluca Posch in 3rd. Alex Magos is holding on in 4th. That'll be a surprise for him. It would be great to see him in the finals. Jean-Won Chon in 5th. Mikael Mauan 6th. But good athletes to come. And this man on stage now, Hamish MacArthur, is one to watch. He was almost a triple world champion last season, having won both the youth world championships and literally fell from the final move of the lead competition. He's very strong, he's very dedicated. Let's see what he can do. Tall athlete as well.
Yeah, always interesting to see how different sizes of athletes are figuring out different problems.
He nearly went statically to that.
He had it in his reach.
Yeah.
Yoshiyuki now. Look at this, looking casual at the top of men's number 2.
Oh, the heel is a bit risky. He holds it though. At men's 2, very important when you look at our top 6. Helps to get it. Do-Yeon Lee powering his way through the campus section.
Look at that scorpion out. As the shoulders activate in order to kill that swing outward. He arches his back in a desperate attempt to make sure the fingers are still pulling downwards rather than sliding off.
So, the top 6, remember, Mikhail Mawam is in the danger zone, down in 6th. Simon Lorenzi has been pushed out. A couple of athletes down there, Jakob Schubert, for example, who hasn't completed the boulders, that's why he's down in 13th, but he's doing well so far.
Normally we would say that these last athletes coming out are the most likely to qualify, but the entire middle of the field is in the position behind the first 2 athletes. It's very surprising.
But Hamish MacArthur does really well. Had a glance down, I presume at the time, comes out to the top. Matches. Good work from Hamish.
That'll put him in very, very good stead for qualifying now.
Yeah, we only had a few people top that out.
Grabbing that hold, not quite right, but confident enough to bump and make it better. Now the difficult cross through.
Yeah, Do-Yeon Lee, 2 minutes 15 on the clock, takes a big fall out of frame.
So twisted up there.
There's Mathieu on the final part. Drops down around the corner.
Here we are, this is the do or die move.
Can't quite hold the catch. Smiles out to the crowd. You can hear his teammates in the background. Team France are so vocal with their support. Athletes really being treated like the celebrities they are in this competition. There's a big line for autographs.
It's good to see this climbing. It's definitely becoming more recognized in the mainstream, especially with the rise of commercial bouldering walls. It's just becoming a more general type of workout, almost equivalent to the gym. But then these people going to bouldering walls are seeing what the level of the World Cup climbers is, and it is really fascinating.
Yeah, it's a hugely growing sport. If you're watching this thinking I want to have a go, then head down to your local climbing wall. It is a wonderfully addictive sport. I warn you now.
Yeah, and very, very important to note, it is not a high barrier to entry. You don't have to be a completely fit individual, especially for beginner bouldering. It goes all the way. Some of the climbs are easier than a ladder, so it is definitely worth just going to try.
Well, this certainly isn't a ladder right now. Do-Yeon Lee campusing through on the crimps, and now this difficult cross-through move with the right hand. Flips it, reaches through, that's so powerful. And now needs to unwind and come all the way to the left towards that zone hold.
Can't quite wait that right hand, which is on the left side of his body. When Tomoa Narasaki did that movement, he actually had his feet lower, which meant he was a bit less twisted, whereas Lee Dong-Yun struggling to untwist there.
So our crowd give us a wave as they watch this semi-finals unfold. Timer is counted down, and our final athlete will be out. Yannick Floyd qualifying in first position. And Yannick, let's chat about, well, hang on. First of all, watch some replays here, because Yoshiki Ogata made quick work of the end of Boulder 2 with the heel in. And Hamish MacArthur, look at that, powering through. Quick
really
glance down at the clock and
coordination,
finishes off.
throwing that left hand into the Gaston, actually killing that swing. The Austrians who made that move didn't put the left hand in, they just took a bigger swing, which is much riskier. Hamish, though, really showing his ability there.
So there is Yannick Floyd. And he's someone who seems to qualify into semi-finals in a really good position, but not always convert that.
that is really the crux that Yannick has been working with for a couple of years now. He is incredibly, incredibly strong. In all fields of climbing, he has actually done some of the world's hardest outdoor boulders, and specifically Dreamtime in Switzerland, famous benchmark IFSC boulder. He has completed it very, very quickly, so incredibly, incredibly strong with that base material, but it's a different thing converting that to a World Cup performance.
Max Mill might get another top here. He needs it. Oh, gets the catch, holds it. Right, one final move for Max. He launches himself left, gets the top, and that's 2, and that will help his score. He's currently in 6th, and that bumps him right up into 3rd position. Max Mill doing what he can do. He wants that first finals place so much.
2 tops getting you into 3rd position. This is a hard round.
Yeah, and we called it the other way at the beginning. We thought it could be a high-scoring round. Not so. Well, Jakob Schubert is on this very difficult men's 3. Watch the toes. It's all about unlocking the toes. But he's getting a 2nd toe hook. That's interesting. That seemed to help. Just a scrub, taking a bit of the swing out, pops a finger, and then replaces the pinky on that crimp. But he's burning out as he readjusts. You can see it going, and apologies if you heard that word from Jakob. He's in the moment. So he brushes the holds, and this is Yannick Floyd. So is it as much a mental game for him at the moment?
Certainly a mental game. He knows he has the strength, and then it becomes more of that, like, getting, as we discussed, sometimes there's rounds where there's lots of tops and you have to just perform perfectly. For Yannick, it's almost like that every time, because he has the strength and ability to do these climbs, so he has that pressure that he has to perform perfectly every time.
Yeah, pressurized at the top. So Kokoro Fuji, this is his kind of a thing. I'm looking forward to seeing him on Boulder 3, but he doesn't make it. He's an athlete, though, who you can never really write him off. Even if he misses something he should have climbed, he can sometimes pull it out on a harder boulder. So watch this Jakob's method. That left toe, enough to take a bit of the sting out of the swing. But then he doesn't look comfortable on the campus.
That is sometimes the easier method, because you don't have to deal with this outward swing.
That's what he's having to work with. That's how small the holds are. He needs to unwind all the way to another one of those on the left.
Wow, did you see that little, like, extra purchase on the crimp as he tries to really activate now, having a good look at his skin? It seems like he has been querying the friction on the previous climbs, and no doubt this climb will be friction dependent as well.
Yeah, it started off hot, it's got hotter. It's now coming up to 20 to 1 Central European time. Probably the hottest part of the day, and the athletes are having to dig deep here. Yannick Flowey is our last athlete, so we'll start to wind things down now, and eventually we'll just be left with him. One minute to go, and he's starting to get closer. Kokoro Fuji, though, needs this. Out with the left. What foot method is he going to use? He's just smearing high toe. The risky method drops in.
Great job. He will be happy with that, because every top is counting in this semi-final round.
Yeah, expect things to change a lot in the leaderboard as it comes back and forth. Jakob is still on, 30 seconds to go. He'll want a zone out of this, if he possibly can. Wait for the cross through, we wait. There it is, it's fingertips and then pulling them on. Thumb pressing onto the hold as an extra bit of purchase, but can't get the unwind.
Can't quite, and calls it with those last seconds left.
Jakob leaves us. Very vocal out on the mats, always has been. So let's see to this. This was Max's top. Held the swing, and then an easy, big launch. He loves those kind of moves. Out he goes. And that left him in 3rd position. And this is Jakob trying to make those crimps work for him.
So difficult. You have to get your body all the way over to the left and further. That crimp is not pulling straight down. It is actually slightly angled, so it's more like a side pull. So you're almost driving leftwards on it to get that directional force rather than straight down.
Yoshiki Ogata has 5 minutes. He's 11th at the moment, but he topped out Boulder 2, and he's got a zone of Boulder 1, and that is enough at the moment if you can do something in the last 2. So he's on track. Jakob's the only one I've seen with that double toe hook so far.
Let's see now if he will change up his method there, going from the toe hook release.
Yeah.
It seems like one of those boulders that actually might be easier to campus than to put your feet on.
Absolutely, pushes you right out from the wall with the overhang. Well, Hamish on his flash attempt did it statically. We saw it in the background of the other shot. And then loses the feet. So Hamish, I know he's been working on dealing with the mental side of this as well. He was sort of flung into stardom. He was always coming on the scene, but I don't think anyone expected him to do what he did last season.
Very rapidly, very rapidly.
There's a few of the men's GB team who are really making a claim for permanent places. There's depth in that squad. Nathan Phillips did well yesterday. So, some good climbers.
Very good. And as well, Britain has had such a hard training culture in climbing for the longest time. That's where we sort of originally see this underground board scene, especially that Sheffield area where
dingy basements. That's what you're saying. You're trying to say it politely. Dingy, dirty cellars full of climbing
dirty
walls.
cellars, and the only thing that's keeping you sane is hard moves.
Yeah. Hamish into the pinch with the toe hook underneath. This top of this boulder is interesting. It seems to take them a while to figure it out.
Yeah, it just seems like a few options there.
Yoshiki Ogata powering through. Makes the cross look simple. This is the unwind that's so hard. But as better, oh!
Wow! That was very, very impressive. How much he committed to only holding on to that right crimp, and it was a high risk, as you could see. You're only falling on your back from there.
Do-Yeon Lee speeding through this boulder. Let's watch this. Pops through and caution to the wind as he flings himself around. And that could be good enough for a finals place. Let's watch Hamish again. Toe hook on the right.
Very tight toe hook, especially for such a tall athlete.
Locks it off shoulders, but he was always slipping down there.
Trying to put a toe on by his chest in order to drive himself over to the left. Be very impressed, but we have seen some people do it, particularly in the women's round. These amazing feet right up by the center of your body.
Yeah, flexibility is sometimes forgotten in climbing. It's certainly something I don't train as much as I should. But when you're at this level, just being strong is not enough. You need to be strong in strange positions. So the two Narasakis still leading the way. Max Milne in third. Do-Yeon Lee, we just saw him. He comes into fourth. And Luca Posch, well, he's been there forever in the top 6, came out second. Alex Magos is hanging on in 6th. Right on the danger zone, on the button. It's one of those moments in climbing where everyone is just assessing as the minute buzzer goes.
Minute left, likely the last attempt for Yoshiki Ogata now.
He comes up, made this sequence look so easy before, but he will be tiring with every move.
Let's keep an eye on this high commitment. Oh, not able to unfurl.
He's almost looking for the match there, calls it. Still Boulder 3, proves to be elusive in today's semi-final.
So
Hamish has also ended it early, I think, unless he got a top. There is Team Japan, refreshingly apt. Who's in, who's not?
Those are the two stars of the show. It looks like they may be quite comfortably in the final, the two Narasaki brothers.
So good day for them. I would imagine they'll be getting out of the sun pretty quickly and going to go and rest somewhere. This is Do-Yeon Lee. And it was one of the fastest sends of this. That left foot, he just saved it from slipping down. And then look at the speed he went.
Very, very comfortable in these moves.
And Yoshiki Ogata, desperate times for him.
Just looking at the scores, it seems only John Wong Chon and Tomoe Narasaki have found zones on boulder number 3. But we do still have the strongest athletes now about to attempt it.
Yeah, Kokoro Fuji. I think I might have said I'd put money on him sending this, so this could be a scary couple of minutes for me. Yannick Flowey didn't get a send on the first one. Got a zone though, which is enough, but really needs a top on this. All right, here is the man, Kokoro Fuji. Gets the toe. Easily into the left, but it's the unwind, as we know. It's hard. Yeah. Yannick Flowey flies in the background.
Let's see. Great on compression, this climber. Can he power through these moves?
Good so far. This is his flash attempt as well. Oh, and drops way down. That's what Hamish was trying, but couldn't make it work. Out to the right. This is interesting.
That was incredibly powerful.
Wow, wow, he's just smashed the contended beater.
Absolutely smashed. He just grabbed everything that wasn't supposed to be a hold and pulled on it.
Hopefully we'll get a replay of that because it's worth analysing again. But let's go with Jakob here. He needs a top. Oh, can't get it this time. 3.5 minutes, and he's looking a little bit frustrated at the moment out there.
A bit frustrated. Also just looked a bit heavy on the shoulders. Potentially the tiredness starting to creep in. We saw on the women's final a real big split between the number of attempts. A couple of the athletes, Natalia Grossman, Miho Nanaka, essentially walking up all the boulders in 1 or 2 attempts. And that really makes a difference for your performance later on. So if Jakob Schubert does find his way to a final, he might be dealing with some fatigue.
And you can see him wiping the sweat from his forehead. He's hot out there. Kokoro Fuji also must be hot under the sun. Strong people there in the audience. Right, out he goes. Better precision this time with the right hand. Oh, and then a firing off with the left.
Big pop.
I think that is Jakob Schubert who topped out in the background there. You saw him drop down as the crowd cheered. Good effort from him. Yeah, there he is, leaving. Good work.
We'll shoot him up the results. Kokoro now, let's see how he manages these small crimps. I actually compared hands with Kokoro once, and I've never seen bigger, thicker hands in my life. So these are small holds. He will be struggling to get his fingers in behind the sort of indent in the hold, but if anyone's going to do it.
Yeah, it could be him. Look, now he's kind of, I mean, I was about to say he's looking really fluid through it, and he was. He just didn't quite have it. And he's one of those athletes, he works quite hard, and once he's figured it out, he unleashes that flow mode.
Flow mode.
This is Jakob Schubert. We saw him in the background coming down with the top. Let's see it now. Yeah, easy work from him. That move we're so used to seeing now. The big jump to the left, and Jakob Schubert up. We'll check the scores. But certainly down in 11th, so not enough for him.
He still hasn't quite updated with this top. I think it's just taking some time. Maybe there's some appeals that need to be dealt with.
Yeah, so Jakob we think has been bumped up, but is showing 11th at the moment.
No, no, it's just updated, and here he is. He's pushed Alexander Megos out of the finals and has found himself in 6th place.
Right, shaky though from Jakob. Will it be enough? Kokoro, oh, beautiful climbing from him to Scorpion's back. But he's only got 57 seconds. I might be losing my money here. The audience hiding under towels, whatever they can get their hands on. So Kokoro is not giving up. He wants a zone.
Such a high-stakes semi-final. He really will want the zone.
Crosses out, high left.
Look at that pull up to kill the swing. You pull all the way up, showing the strength in the arms.
You see that thumb, and that is the end of Kokoro Fuji. So, not anything on Boulder 3, but that doesn't really matter. All comes down to that final one. It's going to be tight in that top 6. Yannick Flowey. Let's see how he managed this. Yeah, oh yes, this was the sequence we were talking about. He did it differently through that middle part.
You see that zone hold that was a thumb catch? He actually brought his right hand into it and used it as a crimp, which from the looks of it, I never thought would have been possible, but he literally pulled his body up off of it.
And it looked very natural when he did it as well.
He looked fine.
Yeah.
He's such a strong athlete.
So, Hamish is on the left. Let's see what he can do. Lies that towel down. The athletes can bring it onto the stage, and it just cleans your feet up before you step onto the wall.
Yoshiyuki Ogata there on the right.
So Hamish is in 15th, top on a zone. He's in a good position. If he can get a zone here, it will be a strong indication of his form. Miho Nanaka, great from her last night.
So it is looking like 2 tops in less than 7 attempts might be enough to get you into finals.
So Yoshiyuki Ogata's taken about a minute just reminding himself or looking at the moves. Oh, and he uses the full round the corner method. He can stop, he doesn't. Oh, but this is the catch. He's straight back on. I mean, the good thing with a run and jump like this is it's not that tiring. It looks really energetic, but it doesn't take so much out of you. But the final part of that boulder is thuggy.
Final part is really pulling, and actually the run and jump can actually really shock the core a bit more than you can expect. And while you don't feel tired, your performance drops, and that's one of the more difficult parts about climbing, managing your core strength.
Stupid strength from Hamish there. That was impressive. He just locked off that left arm in midair.
Very, very strong. And we get to see, this is the more positive side of having these incredibly hard boulders. While we have seen the entire field unable to do it, we do get to see the world's strongest athletes show us something amazing.
Well, there we go. Yoshiyuki Ogata is one of them. He gets a top and comes into 4th. So Jakob Schubert is pushed out of the top 6. Jan-Luca Posch now in the danger zone. I told you things would change, and look at that spread as well. Very interesting.
Very, very interesting. A theme so far in this World Cup. Interesting spread of athletes, not who we would have maybe originally picked or predicted to enter finals.
Hamish will take his time. He's got lots of it. 2:20. 15th. Halfway through. Boulder number 3. He looks up. I know he's been working on timing. Oh, but he looks
practicing some breathing.
Deep breathing there. I'm not sure if that's calming him down or getting him pumped.
I think it's about the pump. Getting that oxygen into the blood, getting psyched and ready to try exceptionally hard.
Yeah, look, he's hyped now. Let's see. He needs to unleash some real strength and power here. Of course, you can overcook it sometimes when you do that. The Jakob Schubert double toe, pulling himself in. Lovely move so far from Hamish MacArthur. Up with the left. Sticks it for a second, but comes down. And you get the feeling he's slightly running out of ideas on this one now.
It is. Essentially, I don't think there are any tricks for this move. I think he's aware as well. There's nothing secret he might discover. Definitely always give it another look, but could be a case you just have to pull harder.
Yeah, and that's something that's hard to improve, especially in a 5-minute time. You know, often if you do a boulder in a gym, you realize you're not strong enough for a move, you do some more climbing, you come back and do it again. These guys obviously don't have that luxury.
Nope, can't go sit down and rest for a bit. You've got 4 minutes, you need to keep trying.
Yeah, and if you've never tried that, I recommend you do it. Go to your gym, pick a climb near your limit, and set yourself a time limit and discover how difficult it is. So Hamish once again starts this routine of hyping himself up.
45 seconds to get up this climb that has not yet been done. We've only seen 2 zones so far.
Up he comes with the right, looking strong, but this is the move he's been dropping. He goes for the pure campus.
Looking tired, and I think he's going to call it. He knows himself. There's not much energy left, and there's one more climb to do.
Yeah, that climb will be all important for him. And it might come down to attempts, so giving himself a good rest is smart. He might have to send it quickly.
Yeah, we saw Tomoe Narasaki do the same.
This is Yoshiyuki Ogata's top. Made the catch, the foot swap nicely, and the big jump that he's pretty well known for. Known as a power climber, he said it himself. Right, so last few. You hear the clock in the background come down. Kokoro Fuji runs out.
How bright the sun is now. There's definitely some heat in the stadium.
Yeah, not long to go. Coming up to 1 p.m.
And Yannick Floyd, an athlete I would definitely like to see try hard on this boulder. If there is someone I think that has that skill set, it very much could be him.
Be careful. I lost a lot of money just now. Right, let's see his first attempt. It's unlikely to flash this thing. But it's, yeah, a lot of the athletes doing that, learning how much that swing puts you out from the wall.
Yeah, you could see that right hand not actually going straight into the crimp, going for a bit of a pinch and a feel, more testing what he is going to.
Kokoro Fuji has a long look at this. He's had one attempt. Yeah, it's the sequence he hasn't figured out yet. You really need to think about it with those run and jumps. You have to think about exactly which foot you're hoping to land where and see if it pans out. You have to think a few moves ahead.
Oh yes, you don't just do it. You have to plan out left foot, left foot.
Yannick Flowey came close the first time. Has he got the distance this time? He does. Scorpion back. And this is the power move. Up to the left. Holds it though. Yannick Flowey crosses easily. And he's facing the right direction.
There's
this is
the
good.
Power. Look at that right arm comfortably holding his body.
Yannick Flowey sticks the sloper. Right, are we about to see our first top? Bumps the right hand across. One move, gives a scream as he brings the right foot into play, but now he has to match, and this is the hard move, really. Oh, and he makes it work. One off, he's got a good right foot, but it's pushing him away from the wall.
Wow.
Creeps that blocked hold, you have to be precise. And finally, we see a top of men's 3, and Yannick Floyd makes a statement to the crowd.
That was really, really amazing. I'll take my money now.
Yeah, I know. Ah, great opportunity. Great moves from him. And that gives him an opportunity. Well, we've talked about the fact that he's not always converts these semi-final places, but could today be his day?
That was, you saw matching on that sloper at the top. That was the moment when he really switched on the don't mess it up brain, because that is such a high-risk movement. Taking that time to understand the friction that's going through the hands, making sure the hips are directly underneath so there's no sliding outwards, very slowly and controlled doing the movement.
Yeah, Yannick might qualify in first place if he sends that final climb. He's going to jump to the top of the board.
He's already in 5th place.
Yeah. Great send from him. Kokoro Fuji, final move, should be simple. It is. Matches. And that will jump him up as well. Ah, things are changing so much. Jakob's now down. Do-Hyun Lee is in the danger zone. And finally, Gianluca Posch, who did so well, came out first, and he's been in that top 6 all competition. We count down the
I
final
love
minute and a
that
half.
biceps pose Yannick put out as he walked off the mat, and unfortunately he is the only person allowed to do that after his achievement. You're like, okay, yeah, you can have that.
Yeah, he's allowed a bit of flexing, I think. And this is this send, and he looked comfortable all the way through.
At the strength in the right arm here, able to just let go, hold the whole body on the right arm and go up.
And that's I don't think he planned that. I think that catch on that bottom hold, he was just in that position as he came down.
The little thumb catch, so useful. All those little things adding up to his ability to do the climb, and then this movement cutting loose, putting the foot on. Look how slopey and bad that right hand is. Look at the face. He's thinking, how do I do this move correctly? And he does manage to do it correctly. And then one more, leaning across to the right, keeping the tension through the right side of the body, finding this blocked crimp, which is very precise, and finishing the boulder.
Yeah, and when you're that pumped, trying to hit a blocked crimp like that is hard. You have to slot your fingers in. You have to have a lot of strength to be that precise.
A lot of strength and a lot of technique there. The crux of almost all of it as well is keeping the feet on and rocking over the hips.
So last 5 seconds, and we're going to see the last couple of athletes coming out. It's the transition time. You can see it starts to mirror the beginning of the competition. There is Natalia Grossman, winner for the women, gold medal number 4. So Hamish MacArthur needs a big performance. Didn't get a zone on that last boulder, but this should be toppable. And then the calculators come out to see if he's made it, but Hamish certainly needs this.
So he does have a zone in 1 attempt, and it looks like 2 tops in less than 5 attempts. He's already put 2 out, so I think he has 2 attempts in order to beat Doyon Lee.
Hamish running through the moves there, trying to predict, plan ahead, looking at his feet, and he's really taking his time. He obviously wants a flash of this, but
very different start now. Is he going to be able to generate the momentum from this position?
well, it's interesting because really, and we haven't seen athletes spend that much time where his right foot is. It's a tap and go, which I was quite interested that the judges didn't pull a few of them up for it.
Oof, going straight around the corner. Now I think standing in that corner actually is going to make the run across difficult. He has thought about that look as he checks a different method. And if you want to draw a line from the starting position, you want to be starting further out. So you have inwards, you have a direction into the wall that you can run for a sec. If you're starting at the inside of the wall and you try to run across, there's only outwards to go. So having that swing where you can throw yourself into the wall first will really help you make this first run across.
Yeah, Hamish is taking his time. Is he going to switch method? I mean, he's planned out so many of them. And I can see what he's thinking. He thinks it's a jump around the corner, but yeah, look, he's changed the way he does this. Oh, and just an enormous jump off that volume. I mean, look, this is super impressive to watch, but I mean, what he's attempting is harder than the intended beater.
Definitely harder than the intended beater. And again, this is why we call them problems. We don't call them climbs. It's much more intellectual, trying to understand what is the method required to do this.
Yeah, and he's going to attempt it again. I mean, sometimes you can get too much in your own head as well. I mean, there's often a solution out there, which sometimes is hard to spot, but can be more simple than you think.
Look, it's standing in the position. He's not allowed to touch the holes. He will lose an attempt, but he's getting into the position, trying to visualize what's going to be going on when he gets there.
So we're almost at another attempt for Hamish. Second to last, penultimate athlete out. Makes the tap and now just readies himself, looking at this swing, back and forth. Ah, and spinning sideways, down and out.
We saw the first couple of simulation swings almost. Essentially there, he's drawing a line with his hips, what direction he wants to launch the center of gravity, and then springs back and the power comes in for the explosion.
Well, he's getting closer, but when's the point you change it up? He's trying to kick around that corner to stop the swing. And that's the thing, he's coming into a left hand that there's nothing to stop him. He's just peeling off unless he can bring that left leg into play. So the wind up, Hamish. Oh, close.
Getting close, putting things together, but it might be a few too many attempts now to get him into the finals.
Hamish, time now starting to play a factor. The same move. Remember, he hasn't seen other people do this boulder. He's trying to figure it out for himself, and for all he knows, this is the method. And it might be. You know, this is the wonderful thing with bouldering. There's different ways of doing it, but so far it hasn't been working for Hamish, but that time it nearly does. But he's going to have very little time to figure out the end, and we know there's a sting. So sets himself up once more, 38 seconds on the clock, and comes back. Yeah, he was told by the judges, he knew it as he went. Round he comes, yes, makes it work, but there's still a hard move to come here. Has he thought about this? He needs a big jump out, a slap and a catch, and no, it's not there. So he has probably one last opportunity to make an adjustment. Starts the swing, the kick around. Oh, doesn't hold it this time, and that will be no send for Hamish MacArthur. That will leave him outside of the finals. His competition is done. Yeah, Hamish way down. Unfortunate for him, it just shows how one boulder can make a big difference.
And is this our final athlete now on the final boulder? Almost going for a bit of a glory lap, or maybe deciding what position he would like to start in finals.
Well, yeah, and Yannick, this is the replay of Hamish. We'll chat about Yannick in a minute. And that was the move. That's how close he came, and it might have been finals if he got that. So Yannick Flowey, he won't know, or he shouldn't know, he might know, that he's not in the top 6 yet. So all he knows, he's got to send it as hard as possible. But he is in 5th, he is through.
I think you'll have some sort of clue by the reactions. He might have been the only athlete to do number 3. That's Alex Megos there, yelling his support.
Yannick with a very different start, comes back with that foot to push off the wall. Watch his left foot if he does it again. So he starts his swing, and then look, the kick. Oh, and holds it well.
He is getting that hips and face right into the wall. Really good balance position.
He drops down in control. Yannick Flowey seems to have found some confidence, something, because he's halfway through this comp. He changed gears. And that was close.
Slip from the right arm there, but oh, there's a little thumbs up. There might have been a communication from the coach that you're doing okay.
So Yannick brushes the holds. I think he might have been talking to the judge possibly about the start. Just making sure he was in the right position. Look at that square of sunlight. I think it's sunlight down there. Maybe it's just a patch. Whatever, he's covering it up with his towel. So, Yannick combining power with precision on this move. Chalks up, takes his time. That left catch he did was a good move. Same thing, but looking even more comfortable than the first time.
Very comfortable there.
Right, has he figured it out? Oh, he has. Again, ridiculous stroke from Yannick Flowey to stop that. One final move. He's already been bumped to second with that zone. Up he comes, and that will leave him in first position, and a one-arm pull-up at the end. Why not? You've got some hours to recover. He finishes things off.
Very, very happy with his performance. The amount of training that Yannick Floyd has put into this sport, the amount of effort, and now he's finally getting to see the results of that.
Yannick, thumbs up. He's having a good time out there. What a performance. I'd love to know what happened midway through that comp, because he started off not slowly, but he's found something different on Boulder 3.
Definitely found something different. I think gotten into that zone, those types of climbs and moves where he is more comfortable, he can pull on crimps, he can compress against the volumes, and that is his bread and butter.
Well, we'll get confirmation of that top 6 in a minute as our audience stream out of the stadium. The men's finals will come 7 p.m. Central European time, so an hour earlier than yesterday's finals. Let's watch a replay of that from Yannick and keep an eye on the catch he does in a minute. That's what he's working with for the feet. And he presses himself down. Swings, and that was the catch, which was so impressive, because everyone else, once they lose their feet like that, is gone. not
Yeah.
so for Yannick.
So much power. It might have been the power that actually pulled his feet off because he was squeezing so hard. He had no intention of letting go.
And that was what it meant at the top. Relief and exhaustion combined. So let's see our top 6. That man, Yannick Flowey, leading the way.
Comfortably.
Yeah, confidently in 3 tops. Meiichi Narasaki and his brother Tomoa Narasaki in 2 and 3. 4th, Max Milne makes his first final. He's going to be psyched. Yoshiki Ogata and Doyeon Lee make up our top 6. And I tell you what, I don't think I would have predicted that top 6 before this comp.
Very, very surprising. But again, mirroring the women's finals yesterday. So this is a new, interesting style, and we get to see that represented in the action. It's different movements on the wall that's challenging the athletes. This is the big thing about climbing. Every time it's different. You get to see a really different competition.
Well, we found our top 6, 20 athletes, down to 6, and we wait for our finals here tonight. We'll be calling all of the action later on this evening. Go and have a lovely afternoon, and we will see you 7 p.m. Central European time.